Okay, so you're looking to get up to speed on a topic, understand it properly, but, quickly. Well, let's do a deep dive today into something maybe closer than you think,
Mm,
the patio. And we're not talking about just folding chairs and a grill anymore. It's a whole new ball game for outdoor spaces.
absolutely. Yeah, there's some really interesting thinking now about how patios are transforming. It's less about just being outside and more about becoming, well, a real extension of how we live inside. The focus is shifting towards elegance, yes, but also real function and getting that connection with nature.
Right, elegance and function. So, our mission for this step dive then is to pull out the key ideas behind this modern patio thing. What actually takes it beyond, just being the spot for the barbecue?
It really starts with seeing it differently. Like fundamentally, it's not just outdoor space anymore. It's an extension of the home.
Yeah.
That's the core concept driving this. These spaces are being designed really intentionally for relaxation, for connection, and for beauty.
Connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels important. Thinking of it as part of your living area, not just an escape route. And you mentioned elegance, function, and immersive natural experiences. That sounds like a much richer way to think about being outdoors at home.
Exactly. And a big part of achieving that elegance and function is the furniture, designer furniture specifically. It's about applying the same thought process to your outdoor stuff as you would indoors. So you get comfort, you get that sophisticated look, but it's also built to, handle being outside.
That makes total sense. You wouldn't just throw any old thing in your living room, would you? So why do that outside? And then materials come into play, things like wood, stone, or polished concrete.
Hmm.
The source says these choices really set the atmosphere, creating warmth, or maybe a minimal look or rich texture. It's like the canvas, right?
Precisely. The materials lay the groundwork, the whole feel. And building on that, a really powerful design move is deliberately connecting the inside and outside. We're talking big things here, like floor-to-ceiling doors or windows.
Oh yeah, you can picture that immediately. It just dissolves the boundary, doesn't it?
It does, and it lets all that natural light flood in deeper into the house.
Visually extending the interior, making it feel way bigger, creates that organic flow they mention.
It's a great strategy for maximizing the feeling of space and, bringing that guardy feel indoors.
Mm.
And that natural light, it does more than just brighten things. It actually enhances the colors and textures. It allows the materials to sort of breathe and shift throughout the day as the sun moves.
So the patio changes character constantly. That's a neat point. Okay, then there's greenery. The source really stresses this is foundational, not just like a few pots sprinkled around.
Exactly right. Think bigger. Think vertical gardens climbing up walls or those really oversized ceramic pots packed with lush plants. The goal is for the greenery to soften all the hard surfaces, like stone or concrete. It adds movement when the wind blows, brings vitality. It creates that essential serene backdrop.
Foundational greenery. I like that phrase. It really shifts the perspective. And then it talks about layering textures. We hear that a lot for interiors, but applying it outside, rough stone next to smooth wood or soft cushions on a structured frame. It's about engaging more senses than just sight.
Yeah, it adds depth, personality, stops it feeling one-dimensional.
It prevents that flat feeling, definitely.
And what's striking is how deliberate it all is. It's not accidental. The source also mentions using expressive color. So rich, vibrant tones on fabrics or furniture. Think deep blues, maybe golden yellows, adding drama or warmth or just a modern pop.
So it's a very conscious curation of the whole mood. And it's not just the big items either, is it? It points out things like decorative panels, art pieces, thoughtful textiles.
No.
Those smaller touches contribute to that curated look. It's the details.
Absolutely. And then importantly, the source pivots a bit. It reminds us it's got to be beyond aesthetics. A great patio isn't just pretty, it has to work. It has to be functional. So thinking about covered zones becomes important. Protection from too much sun or a bit of rain.
Right, but keeping airflow makes it usable more often.
Exactly. Extends the season, really.
And then how you arrange the furniture, making sure it encourages conversation, comfort.
Yeah, creating those intimate nooks maybe, or more open setups for bigger groups. It's about how people actually use the space.
When you zoom out, the source suggests patios have really leveled up. They've gone from being an afterthought.
The centerpieces of modern living. Yeah, designed with the same intention as interiors now.
Centerpieces. That's a powerful way to put it. And when you mix all these things, the natural materials, the high-end finishes, the colors, that seamless indoor-outdoor flow.
You get these really immersive, luxurious, and deeply personal outdoor spaces.
Like a sanctuary, almost.
It really can be. And this whole evolution it mirrors a bigger trend, doesn't it? Towards creating spaces, environments that enhance our daily lives on an emotional and sensory level.
That's a great frame. Lifestyle-centered environments, and of course lighting. That has such a huge impact, especially after dark, the transformative role of lighting.
Yeah, it's not just about being able to see. Strategic lighting can completely change the feel. Think about warm ambient light, maybe pendant lanterns as a feature, or subtle recessed floor lights marking a path.
Or even string lights woven into greenery adds that magical touch.
Right, and it does two things. Extends usability into the evening, obviously, but it also sculpts the space. It highlights architectural bits, plants, textures. It draws your eye.
Creates a whole different vibe at night. Okay, and then zoning the space. What's that about?
It's basically creating different areas for different activities within the larger patio. So you might have a lounging zone, a dining zone, maybe a quiet spot for reflection.
How do you do that without putting up walls?
Well, it can be subtle. Maybe using different flooring materials for each area, or slight changes in elevation, a step up or down. Even using planters or low walls can help guide movement and define spaces visually.
Creates a kind of rhythm. It all sounds so intentional.
It is, and that extends even to things you might not think about immediately, like sound, acoustic comfort.
Acoustic comfort outdoors. How does that work?
Well, materials help. Natural materials like wood and soft textiles like cushions, they actually absorb sound, making it less echoey. And then there's the positive sound, like flowing water from a small fountain or pond.
Ah, right. That can mask background noise, like traffic or neighbors. Calming.
Exactly. It shows how holistic the design approach is becoming. Visual, tactile, auditory, and sustainability is woven in too. Thinking about durability, modularity, multi-season use.
Makes sense. Investing in outdoor furniture, you want it to last, right?
And be adaptable. Things like weather-resistant fabrics that still feel good to touch.
Tactile fabrics, yeah. And adjustable seating that can be rearranged easily.
And those vertical gardens we mentioned. They're great for smaller spaces too, optimizing vertically. Plus they add a living, evolving element. It changes with the seasons.
That's nice. And the materials, again, focusing on tactile and authentic ones.
Yeah, things like clay, stone, linen, rattan, aged wood, often with artisanal craftsmanship visible.
It grounds the space, doesn't it? Feels more real, more connected, a move towards authenticity and quality.
It really seems to be. And all of this ultimately aims to create emotional resonance, a space that feels right, one that invites both quiet moments, stillness like your morning coffee ritual,
And social connection, those late night conversations, yeah.
So the modern patio, as the source sums it up, is where nature, architecture, and lifestyle meet and harmonize. Its success is defined by creating a meaningful outdoor experience, something that feels luxurious but also natural and really personal, uniquely attuned to the people who live in it.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, the big takeaway seems pretty clear. The modern patio isn't an afterthought. It's a really considered, designed extension of the home itself. It's all about crafting these richer, more engaging experiences, and that comes from paying close attention to everything.
Right. Materials, light, greenery, texture, how it functions.
And how it makes you feel, that emotional connection.
And crucially, this isn't just for huge, fancy places. These principles, this way of thinking, can inspire anyone, whether you've got a big yard or just a tiny balcony. It's about intention.
Absolutely. It gives you a new lens to look at your own outdoor space, whatever size it is.
Yeah.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. How could you, in your own space, intentionally blend some of these natural elements with smart, functional design? Think about how that might transform not just the look of your patio or balcony, but actually change the way you relax, the way you connect with people, and how you experience the world right outside your own door. We've been digging into a pretty detailed look at contemporary patio design principles.
Right.
And our mission today, really, is to figure out those key design ideas that make a patio flexible, engaging, and, well, emotionally resonant for you.
Yeah, what's fascinating is this kind of fundamental shift in thinking about patios. It's not just tacked on anymore.
Yeah.
It's a space that's really thought through, designed to be adaptable, and actually make your daily life richer. The material we looked at really hits home on this flexibility idea.
How it can shift with your moods, your needs.
Exactly, while still looking, coherent, put together.
Yeah.
It's designed for you, for how you live.
It's definitely more involved than just chucking some chairs out there. Okay, so let's really get into this flexibility thing. How does it actually benefit people? Our source highlights how even small choices, like, say, the size of your seating or the fabrics you pick, They actively shape the atmosphere.
They do. And crucially, they enhance that sense of well-being we mentioned. It's like each little element is nudging you towards a certain feeling or experience.
Okay, so take something like oversized planters stuffed with, lush plants. What's the main takeaway there? More than just pretty green stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's way beyond just adding a bit of nature. What do you think is the key benefit?
Well, for me, I immediately imagine feeling sort of enveloped by nature, like finding a little secret garden spot right there.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
The source talks about organic flow, adding depth, softening those hard architectural corners. It kind of creates a natural enclosure.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you connect that feeling, that softening of sharp lines back to well-being, well, it has a genuinely calming effect. It makes the space feel gentler.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then you layer in those decorative bits, maybe a cool sculptural side table, some interesting wall art, that kind of thing. These aren't just for looks, are they?
No, not at all. They
No.
feel like they inject your personality. The source actually suggests they become conversation starters.
Right.
And I totally see that they add texture, individual style.
Right.
Makes it your space, not just some generic setup.
And sort of underpinning all that is the intentional use of natural materials, wood, stone, certain textiles. They ground the patio, connect it back to the surrounding environment. What feeling does that bring up for you, that connection?
It makes it feel rooted, doesn't it? Intentional. Whether you've got a huge garden or just a tiny city balcony, those natural touches give it a sense of place. It feels calmer.
Yeah, rooted is the perfect word. That sense of place is so important. Okay, so moving on. Let's think about how modern patios aren't just for perfect weather anymore.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting for me. It's not just a summer fling space.
Yeah, exactly. Smart planning, smart material choices. They make it usable pretty much year-round.
How does that work in practice?
Well, think about having both covered sections and open areas. Simple, but effective.
So you get shelter from the sun or maybe rain?
But you still have spots to catch a breeze or see the stars. It gives you options, adaptability depending on the day, the weather.
And that adaptability goes further, right?
Yeah.
Our source mentioned mixing fixed things, like maybe a built-in bench, with stuff you can move around easily, like lightweight chairs.
Yes, that lets you constantly tweak the space. Need more seating for guests? Easy. Want a clear area for something else? Also easy. It adapts to daily life, not the other way around.
It keeps it dynamic.
Exactly.
What?
And even natural light plays into this dynamic feel. The source talks about how morning sun feels different, gives a different energy.
Then that softer late afternoon glow.
Precisely. The patio changes throughout the day just based on the light. It's a constantly shifting sensory experience.
So it never feels static or boring.
Which leads us nicely into how we're starting to see these patios. The material really pushes this idea that they're genuine living environments now.
Like another room in the house, basically, deserving the same design thought.
Absolutely. Moving past just function and thinking about comfort, even a kind of outdoor elegance, applying that same level of care.
And that's where this idea of a multi-dimensional quality comes in, right? Where the physical design affects how you actually feel in the space.
Yes. Form meeting feeling. What kind of sensory things contribute to that for you?
Oh, definitely things like the texture underfoot, how comfy the cushions are, the smell of plants after it rains. Even just watching leaves move in the breeze. It's the whole package.
And it's all those little sensory details that elevate it. It stops being just nice to look at and becomes something you really feel. A place to properly unwind, connect with, outside.
It kind of redefines luxury, doesn't it? Makes it about simple sensory things.
Exactly. It's less about showing off and more about experiencing. Which ties into this shift the source talks about, focusing on creating experiences, not just arranging furniture.
So every little detail is considered as part of a bigger story.
Pretty much. Like, how do you move from inside to outside? What textures make you want to touch them? Does the layout encourage you to move around or settle down somewhere quiet?
I like the storytelling aspect. It gives the space soul.
Yeah, it evokes a mood, a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Connects you to nature in your home. It's crafting a narrative for that space.
And part of that narrative seems to be the mix of structure and softness.
Oh, definitely. You have the architectural frame, the defined areas.
But then softened with fabrics, cushions, the shapes of plants. What does that contrast do emotionally?
For me, it feels really welcoming. Grounding, maybe?
Yeah, inviting, like a visual hug, comfort, and welcome.
And the source suggests this well-designed patio becomes a kind of quiet statement about a lifestyle. One that values peace, connection.
Serenity. And speaking of serenity, water features often come up. Fountains, reflecting pools.
Yes. And the force points out they're more than just pretty. The sensory impact is huge.
That sound ride, the gentle trickling or flowing, it's incredibly calming.
It really is. And it can mask other noises like traffic, especially in a city. Creates a little bubble of peace, almost meditative.
And how does that work with the plants?
They work together beautifully. Think trailing vines, lush tropicals, maybe some structured hedges. Combined with the water, it creates this really layered living canvas. It's dynamic.
Texture and form working together.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, nighttime happens. And lighting changes everything again.
Oh yeah. Good outdoor lighting is magic. The source talks about warm-toned lights, maybe tucked among plants or highlighting steps.
It creates a totally different vibe, doesn't it? From bright and open during the day to this intimate glowing retreat at night.
Totally. And that ability to shift, to host quiet moments or lively get-togethers, it just shows how versatile a well-designed patio can be.
It really does. Now, looking ahead a bit, there's definitely this growing focus on sustainability, longevity.
Right. It's not just about how it looks right now.
No. The thinking is shifting towards materials, pieces that age well, that are sourced consciously, things that kind of work with the environment, not against it. It's a long-term view.
Creating something that lasts, that evolves with you and the house.
Yeah, instead of being disposable. Like choosing plants that actually suit the local climate, using finishes that can handle the weather.
Makes sense. Practical and responsible.
And the result is a patio that's not just beautiful now, but resilient. It matures, gets richer over time.
So really, when you pull all these threads together, the textures, the colors, the light, bringing nature in, the craftsmanship, the patio becomes so much more than just, a slab outside.
It really does. It becomes a destination, a place for reflection, for joy, for just resting. It's centered on the human experience.
Which is the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Deeply human-centered design.
Exactly. It's about creating spaces that don't just look good, but feel good. Deeply enriching.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. To summarize what we've kind of unpacked today, modern patio design is really about creating these flexible, sensory-rich spaces. Spaces that genuinely boost your well-being, extend your home's usefulness through the year.
And do that by focusing on the experience, connecting with nature, and thinking about long-term value.
Right. So maybe a final thought for our listeners to take away.
Yeah, perhaps think about your own outdoor space, whatever it might be. How could some of these ideas, flexibility, sensory details, that connection to nature, inspire you?
How could you cultivate a patio that really resonates with you and makes your daily life just that little bit better?
Creating your own little sanctuary, basically.
Yeah. So we got this really interesting collection of thoughts from listeners this time, all centered around the modern patio.
Ah, yes. A popular topic.
It really is. And it's clear, people have been thinking really deeply about these outdoor spaces. So our goal today is to, unpack what makes them tick. Why they're more than just, a spot for the grill.
Right. There's a deeper significance people are sensing.
Exactly. We want to explore that significance in our lives today.
Absolutely. And what jumps out from the sources you shared is this shift.
Yeah.
It's not just about filling a space anymore.
Not just furniture arrangement.
No. It's about creating a whole environment, something holistic. Your notes really stress how personal and, frankly, emotional these spaces are becoming.
Okay, good. Let's dive right into that then, the emotional connection. The material talks about crafting an environment for living, feeling, connecting. So it's clearly not just about picking out a nice table and chairs. What's the real aim here?
Well, precisely. It's about engaging our senses in ways that maybe our indoor spaces don't always manage, or maybe can't.
How so?
Think about sunlight filtering through leaves, that dappled light effect. It's actually been shown to reduce stress.
Okay.
And the feel of natural stone under your feet. That's not just texture, it's a real tactile connection. Grounding.
Yeah.
Even just the sound, wind rustling plants, it's calming. Taps into something primal, our connection with nature.
So these sensory bits, they're like anchors, pulling us into the moment, giving us some calm.
That's a great way to put it, anchors.
Yeah.
The layering that you mentioned, the plants, the textures, the lighting, it all works together.
To create something immersive.
It does. Richer, more dynamic, a constant interplay, really, between the natural and the designed elements.
And the sources called it an emotional anchor.
Yes, Beautifully put, I thought.
Yeah.
A space that changes with the seasons, evolves with our own lives. It gives that sense of grounding familiarity.
It makes you wonder, though, beyond just looking nice, how does that emotional anchor actually affect our day-to-day, our mood maybe, focus when we come back inside?
That's a fascinating question, and something the sources hint at.
And it's not just for when we're alone, right? The material also talks about connection, fostering connection with others.
Definitely. It acts as a bridge, a threshold almost.
Between our private world and the social one. Interesting.
Exactly. It sort of blurs those lines, but in really meaningful ways. Think about that morning coffee outside.
Yeah, it does feel different, more intentional somehow.
Right. A small shift, but it elevates the moment. And then having friends over, being on the patio, it just feels more connected, less confined than indoors.
So it's really moving beyond just being a design add-on.
Oh, absolutely.
It's becoming a genuine lifestyle feature, as the sources put it, reflecting this maybe growing desire to live more harmoniously with nature.
That's it. And I like the idea of patios as sanctuaries too. A place to recharge, even if you're right in the middle of a busy city.
That really hits home, doesn't it? That modern need for peace, for reconnection.
It does. And it's not about escaping to some remote wilderness, necessarily.
Yeah.
It's about finding that connection right there in your immediate surroundings. Even small doses count.
Now, here's something interesting from the material. It suggests impactful design isn't about being flashy or extravagant.
No, not at all.
It's about balance,
I concur.
proportion, and these really subtle, thoughtful details.
Yes. The emphasis on what the sources termed quiet decisions is key here.
Quiet decisions. Like what?
Well, think about the gentle curve of a chair arm, or the way a terracotta pot gets that weathered look, that patina, over time.
Okay.
Or even just placing a tree just so its shadow moves across the space during the day. Little things, but they add up.
They have a big impact on the feeling, it sounds like.
A surprisingly significant impact. It makes you wonder why those small things resonate so much. Did any specific examples jump out at you?
Actually, yeah. One note mentioned the specific feel of an outdoor fabric, not a loud pattern, just the texture contributing to comfort.
Exactly.
Subtle. And the material even hinted that patios could be the future of home design. Not because they're lavish, but because they're so personal, adaptable.
Precisely. The whole idea of luxury might be shifting. Less about showing off, more about stepping into a space that just feels effortlessly right and truly yours.
Which links perfectly to this idea of personal ownership, doesn't it?
It does.
It's less about following trends, more about the patio genuinely reflecting your life, your habits, your moods, even.
According to the sources, yeah, the real measure of success is how responsive the space is to you.
Right.
It's where your rituals happen. That morning coffee in the sun, maybe quiet talks in the evening, it adapts to your rhythm.
And it picks up character naturally over time through those little things, how the stone feels warm, the scent of certain plants after rain.
Yeah, those quiet signatures. That's what really grounds the space, gives it authenticity, belonging.
It feels like this whole shift, seeing the patio as central, not secondary, mirrors a bigger change in what we value generally.
I think you're right. If you zoom out, it lines up with how much more we seem to value well-being, authenticity, connection to our surroundings.
The patio becomes a real, tangible expression of those values then.
A powerful one. It's an opportunity for what one source called restorative environmental shaping.
Restorative environmental shaping. I like
Yeah.
that. It's not just decorating, it's actively crafting a space that, well, nourishes us.
On a deeper level, yes. And
Yeah.
the magic is in putting it all together thoughtfully. The light, the textures, materials, greenery,
Working again.
engaging the senses, contributing to our well-being. Yeah.
The material even went so far as to call the patio a quiet revolution in how we think about space.
That's a strong phrase, but it fits.
How so? A revolution.
Well, the idea is that space is no longer just defined by walls. It's actively shaped by the natural elements.
So things like rain, sun, breezes.
Yeah.
They're not just happening outside the space.
Exactly. They become collaborators in the design. They enrich the experience in ways a sealed-off room just can't. Shadow play, the sound of rain.
It transforms the patio into a kind of sensory portal.
Where time feels different. Slower, maybe. And that line between everyday routine and feeling like you're on a retreat, it gets blurry.
And in our crazy busy lives, the idea of the patio offering a dedicated pause, that feels vital.
It really does. A specific, accessible place for those crucial moments. Lingering, reflecting, just breathing.
And the design itself seems to be getting more intuitive, focusing on comfort, flow, ease of use.
Yes, it's not purely about how it looks. It's about how you live in it, how you move through it.
So the sources mention things like furniture placement, encouraging conversation, or capturing a view.
Right. Or choosing textiles that are durable but still feel good. Creating pathways that feel natural, organic, inviting you to wander a bit.
It's all designed to make it feel seamless, like part of the home's energy, not separate.
Exactly. A vital part. Even those seemingly small decisions, like where you put the lights for evening atmosphere.
Or angling chairs for privacy, or the best view.
It all adds up to that feeling of ease.
If you found this video helpful or inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Interior Blockchain Studio for more expert design ideas, trends, and creative inspiration. Your support helps us bring you even more amazing content, so make sure to turn on notifications and stay updated with our latest uploads. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.